Howdy howdy and welcome to the Tea Weasel, where we pair teas with movies. Today, we'll be looking at...
All units, Irene. I say again, Irene.
That's right, you guessed it. America's hardship of war and propaganda, Black Hawk Down. The movie is rated R. So camera come in a little bit. Too far. Okay, right there. Kids, don't watch this one. You can watch this video. Feel free to stay. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. But do not watch this movie. But before we talk about this movie, I want to talk to you about my very first sponsor. That's right. Somebody decided to sponsor me. Gordo's Brewhouse. Gordo's Brewhouse is a veteran-owned coffee company with worldwide shipping. Coffee is delivered directly to your front door. All the coffee is made out of whole beans, standard or espresso grade. There's a variety of different and delicious flavors. And the CEO is a devilishly handsome and charming sexy beast. Charles, do I really have to say that one? He's paying us to say that one? And if you use promo code BEANTEA35, you can get 35% off your next purchase, including their mugs, which are spoiler-proof. And if you don't have one of their spoiler-proof mugs, any spoiler-proof mug will do, because we're about to talk about the bean tea. Full disclaimer, I'm not the biggest fan of what people like to call coffee, but I like to support my fellow vets, and this is a great way to do it. The first thing you want to do is add some fire to your kettle. While that starts to heat up, add some scoops of coffee to your French press. Once your water is screaming, pour that screaming water onto your coffee grounds inside your French press. Here I used way too much water. Then cover it and partially push down the press and wait for 4 minutes. After 4 minutes, press down the press the rest of the way and get ready to strain. Make sure you have a spoiler-proof mug.
You know, it's not bad.
Yeah, that's coffee.
For the second coffee, we're going to try something different and learn a lesson. Add the same number of scoops to your French press, but this time add a little less water. Hopefully then it will not be as watered down. And you're gonna again wait 4 minutes. Once 4 minutes is done, pour it into your mug so you can drink it like a normal person.
Not bad.
Coffee. Again, not a big coffee person, but I do think the chocolate one was better than the cinnamon one personally. But know who is? My dad! Sorry, my dad. My dad likes coffee.
First reactions to Gordo's chocolate hazelnut coffee. That's a sound hazelnut. The smell in the bag was very nice. Definitely chocolate aroma. Also a bit during the brewing cycle. Tasting it just now, definitely hazelnut, though I'm not picking up a lot of chocolate. So first impression, definitely a good hazelnut. If the chocolate's there, it's blended in nicely as a complementary augmenting flavor with the hazelnut. I don't normally have chocolate with hazelnut, though I have had a lot of hazelnut coffees, but I'd say a very sound hazelnut coffee. Yeah, very nice. So today going to have first impressions with Gordo's cinnamon hazelnut coffee. In the brewing cycle was definitely more of a standard scent of the ground coffee during brewing as well. Very good hazelnut taste. When I first put it on, when it first hits the tongue, it's definitely hazelnut with a little extra in it. If you hadn't told me it was cinnamon, I probably would have been a little hard pressed to identify it. once it goes down, it's definitely the hazelnut taste after you swallow it. So it's very interesting. I was definitely expecting to get more of a distinct cinnamon taste, but it gives it a little bit of an extra flair, a little bit extra, I don't know, tang, but it's cinnamon. It's mild. Yeah, surprisingly nice addition to a standard hazelnut, which I do enjoy a bit of hazelnut from time to time.
Thanks, Dad. And besides, we here at the Tea Weasel don't really like coffee. Not all of us. Not you again. Get out of here! Ah, yes. Feels so good to be back in charge. Don't need this anymore, now do I? Hi there, I'm Barista, and I will be helping you with this pairing. Now, let's get back to this PTSD-inspired nightmare fuel movie. This movie is darker than the cup of coffee we just had. And not just because of the low lighting at times. It's so dark that literally when I was being trained as a corpsman, I saw battle scenes from this movie and how they treated some of the injuries. Like, no scene that I'm showing here because even though I don't make money, I get demonetized. It is gory, it is graphic, and it is surprisingly accurate. Now this movie surprisingly isn't very propaganda for the American war machine. Only because it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes of just death, blood, and just destruction, followed up by our protagonists questioning why they're there in someone else's civil war. And as always, war bad. And although we follow the Rangers, they do not particularly try to make them out as the heroes so much as they are the main characters trying to survive. It's nice to see from an American war movie where it doesn't make the United States look like the unquestionable, just and virtuous hero as most movies like to. This one shows the nuance of United States intervention inside other political activism in war. Now, that being said, the only thing this movie has more than shaky cam is star power. For example, here's Mr. Fantastic, Two-Face, Harvey Dent, Scary Face,
Two-Face. Yes, yes. What have you done with Harvey and Scary Face?
General Kenobi.
Hello there.
This guy that I recognize, but I don't know where from. I just know I've seen him somewhere else. Yeah, it's packed. There's a lot of celebrities in this movie. Again, it's pretty shaky a lot during this movie, and the edits make it kind of disorienting at times. However, you're kind of immersed in the battle with them because of that. The entire time, the edits don't give a lot of clarity of where this group is in correlation with this group and where everything is moving, but the real people were going through the same thing during the actual combat. However, as a viewer, kind of disorienting, and again, super shaky. So I'm not sure if I should say the editing's bad, because it kind of makes you feel more immersed in the movie, because they're confused, you're confused, nothing quite adds up, and it just becomes this mess. That kind of works with it, but at the same time, as a viewer, you want to know what's going on. I'm not going to count it against this one, because it makes the film more immersive, but it is kind of disorienting at times. Black Hawk Down is 2 hours and 24 minutes long, and like 90% of it is combat. When it's not combat, there's actually some really well shot scenes. Right here is pretty great, I think. It's very cinematically pleasing, and it's, non-combat, but it's also at the end of a movie. There are some good shots during the combat, but that's more focused on combat than it is, the photography of the film. And despite being, again, super gory, it did manage to have a couple little funny parts. Part of the movie is setting up the stakes and introducing the characters, and they did a great job doing that. All the people in this movie felt really well-rounded and, non-static. They had stakes because they had family. Family. And other investments in their life prior to going into this mission. And because there's so much going on in this movie of all these characters they need to track, I feel like it's one of those times it should have been a mini-series versus a movie, so they could have gotten all the information in it without it becoming, a really long runtime for a film. And then allows, more time with each person inside of that experience. I wish I could have talked about the plot, but it's based off of real events. So I can't say like, certain things were added by Hollywood to make it a little bit more showy, but I don't know what is. Like, I doubt Grimm's, more on him in a little bit, actually survived being shot by an RPG that close. But because again, it's based off a real mission with real people, there's no character, so I can't comment on how the characters don't really seem to fit into the movie or anything, and it's all based off true stories. I can't really talk about the plot or critique it that much. However, there is one character in this movie. Like I said a little bit ago, there are no characters if it's based off real events, because they're real people going through real things. And that character is my favorite person in this movie. Grimm's. Grimm's doesn't exist in real life. John Grimm's was based off a real person, John Stebbin. I don't know if I pronounced that name correctly, and honestly, I don't give a flying fladoodle. John Stebbin is a real piece of. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about living human trash on my channel, but the United States military pushed the author of a book, who also helps make the movie in the studio, to change Stebbins into Grimm's, trying to avoid a bit of backlash from who Stebbins is. The ex-wife of the real person was very upset about this. They made her ex-husband look like an all-American regular Joe hero. In practicality, he is a terrible human being whose name deserves nothing to be dragged through the mud. Sadly, a lot of people might say his actions reflect the military, but by changing who this person was to a character, you alter the story and made someone terrible look like a hero. And I think that's even worse. But that's all really I can say about this film. And it's based off true events, so I can't really nitpick a plot that's based off of real events. All the people are real people except for one character who's great but based off a terrible person. My only real critique about this movie is it's 2 hours and 24 minutes of almost all action, and then some issues with the pacing in between those actions. Would have made a fantastic miniseries. If you like movies that are about people's just worst days of their life with high violence and gore, then you'll like this movie. And until next time. Oh man, I just got here and I have to leave. Till next time. That's right, go back to that sad, dark little corner where you belong. Now then. Much better. And until next tea time, watch a movie and have a relaxing cup of tea. Cheers.